Mr. MCD, welcome back. We missed you. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here. Welcome to another episode of the Cinematic Bucket List series, and today I'm going to be talking about the Matrix movies, released from 1999 to 2021, and directed by the Wachowskis. I actually saw the first Matrix movie for the first time in the theater. They did like a Fathom re-release in preparation for the fourth one. And I saw it in theaters for the first time. It was really good, and I was originally going to do a bucket list video on just the first one and skip out on the sequels, but then I got COVID over Christmas break and needed something to watch, so I binged through all three of the sequels on HBO Max, and now I'm here to talk about them. So the thing that stands out to me the most about all four movies are the visual effects. I mean, the first one definitely was a game changer in terms of those effects and those action sequences. Like, a lot of, action movies at the time were not as intricate or stunning looking as that. And I think especially seeing that first movie on the big screen definitely showed like just how revolutionary those effects were. Like, yeah, some of them can look kind of like cheap. I don't know, especially for the time, I definitely think it helped. And especially with the idea of everything being inside of a computer, I think that kind of adds a bit to it. And the effects like only got better as the movies went on. I mean, it's about the only thing that did improve with time, because the rest of them kind of fell downhill. The first one, from a story perspective, is, I mean, especially after living with other movies and just now going back to the original Matrix, which I know is one of the originators of this type of like chosen one story, and the type of story where, our reality isn't real and everything like that. Even the story in the original wasn't anything like groundbreaking. It was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. Like, you are fully invested in Neo's journey, even though I will say I did kind of question, like, if this movie were made today, and they kind of even touch on this in the fourth one, like, you'd think Neo would probably try to like fight a little bit more, or like deny it a little bit more before finally like sinking in and realizing that there's nowhere else to go and the agents are just gonna kill him. Yeah, I think the story in the original works, and I especially think it works as a standalone. It's it's the standard hero's journey. You go from just a lonesome hacker sitting away at his computer, and then he gets swooped up by these rebels telling him that he's the chosen one, he's gonna save everyone, and he has all these encounters with the agents, and you're kind of left up to the imagination of what happened after that, of whether or not he destroyed the machines and everything like that. But I don't know, because the first one made money, they felt the need to cram out 2 more sequels, and that's exactly why we got Reloaded and Revolutions, and that's even more so why we got fucking Resurrections 20 years later. The second one is not as bad as people make it out to be. Like, there are some things to be enjoyed, like just how cartoony the whole thing is in terms of action. Like, the fight with the Smiths is one of my favorite sequences in the whole franchise. The truck chase is genuinely pretty awesome, but like the plot is just super convoluted, and I mean, not to say that it wasn't super convoluted in the first one, but it gets even more crazy, especially with the speech with the architects and how he explains how this whole world works. Like, you can tell they didn't really know what the hell they were doing. And then Revolutions is just fucking boring. Like, I was struggling to sit through it. Like I got about like a quarter of the way in and I already wanted to turn it off. And also, one thing that the sequels do, which I mean a couple of people have pointed out, but one thing the sequels do is they portray Neo as a pretty shitty messiah. Like, the whole time in the first one, he's being told by everyone that he is the messiah, he's the one that's gonna save everyone. And then when they go to the Oracle, she's like, oh, sorry honey, you're not it. And so he spends the whole rest of the movie trying to prove to himself and prove to everyone that he can save the world and save his friends and save everybody. But then, I guess in the second one and the third one, he just, something about Carrie-Anne Moss just was like, you know what, fuck the world. I'm gonna go after that leather-clad dominatrix. When the architect gives him the decision to, like, save his teammates or help them, or go back and save Trinity from almost dying, he goes to Trinity without even hesitating. There are several times where he like purposefully endangers his friends and fucks up the mission to go save Trinity, only for her to die anyway. And moving on to Resurrections, I mean, like, trust me, I get why people who are fans of the franchise are getting kind of annoyed with this movie and pissed off. But as someone who did not grow up with this franchise and someone who, you know, didn't have their whole perception of life, like, questioned by this franchise, like, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, it's very obvious right from the get-go why this movie exists and what Lana Wachowski was trying to do with it. She was pressured for years by Warner Brothers to make another Matrix because the franchise is still popular, and she was getting sick and tired of it, so she just shat something out that would look deeper than it actually was, and ended up, you know, just being, like, for the first half, a pretty funny, you know, meta, like, commentary on, you know, greedy studio execs and Matrix fever and shit like that. But then it just devolves into a boring action movie, and even the action in that movie isn't, like, super great. But, like, I was still entertained by it, mildly. It was still keeping my attention. It wasn't like Revolutions where I was, like, fighting to stay awake. Like, at least shit happened. But, I mean, long story short, I think the first one should have been the only one of these, because it's the only good one. Like, it had some unique ideas for the time, it had some really impressive visuals and stunts, and the characters were all compelling enough to where you gave a shit, as opposed to the sequels where they're just tools for spouting off philosophy and exposition and long-winded speeches and shit like that. So, I enjoyed the first one. I got some mild entertainment out of the second and fourth, but I would say avoid the third at all costs. So, going to my ranking, I would give the first Matrix a 4 out of 5. Second one would probably be a 3. Third one's gotta be a 1.5, and Resurrections probably has, like, a 2.5. But anyway, that does it for this very scatterbrained video talking about the Matrix franchise. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the Matrix movies. Which one is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? What did you think of the fourth one? Did you hate it as much as everyone else did? Let me know all that stuff. I've got more bucket list episodes and more TV logs, and another catch-up review coming at the end of this month, so stay tuned for all of that. But until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting, follow me on my social media, subscribe to my main channel, everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you later.